Back now on this special edition of Triad today, where we're focusing the entire half hour on a conversation, exclusive conversation with Pat McCrory, former mayor of Charlotte, 7-term mayor of Charlotte, I will say, and former GOP candidate for governor in 2008, possibly again in 2012. Let's talk about social issues. Let's talk about same-sex marriage, regardless of your personal views. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I don't care what they are. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to ask you as let's say an elected official if you were governor. Would you support same-sex marriage if you were governor of this state?
No, I would not. I do think it's a state rule, and states like New York and other states have the right to change their state laws. These are state laws regarding marriage. It's a state certification, although in some regards I think it would be argued, why is the state involved in this issue at all?
Right, but you have personal views that say that you don't believe in it. Right. And yet, as governor, you'd represent all the people. So how could you tell
regarding state certification right now, I'd say it would be between one man and one woman, just like we have laws saying we are against polygamy, for example.
Well, what would you say to gays and lesbians who say, look, I like Pat McCrory, but now he's against same-sex marriage?
I disagree with my wife on a lot of issues, but I hope she still votes for me. I do think we need to do this regarding any types of partnerships, whether it be regardless of the gender, is we do have to make sure that people have the right to a visitation of a hospital, laws regarding wills, things of that nature, where I think the laws have got to be changed in those areas to give people who live together the rights of all people who live together. It does open a huge Pandora's box in other areas, because now we're laws that are changing the gender marriages.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you have corporations going, well, you have to get married in order to get gender benefits.
I didn't think about that.
So there are a whole other ramifications, which is kind of interesting.
State lawmakers have dragged their feet on the sterilization reparation issue. This is something very near and dear to my heart. We still have over 3,000 victims still alive who were forced, sterilized against their will, and yet both parties have dragged their feet year after year. I'm not talking about recession, even before recession. Before it was, well, we'll think about it. Now it's, well, we don't have the money. What's going on here? Don't we need to help these folks?
Yes, we do, and it's tragedy. Frankly, I don't know why there hasn't been a lawsuit against the state with regard to that. I don't know if it's because of time elapsed. I haven't checked into that.
There was back in the 70s, which helped us end the practice, but not really since.
I assume maybe there's some time. I don't know the details, but the best idea I heard was from a recent state senator who says we ought to come up with a set amount of money for those who are still alive and give that money to them, most likely coming possibly from the tobacco fund.
Right. Final thing I want to cover in this, since we're talking about social issues, let's talk about abortion very quickly. Quick answer on this. Why should it be anyone's business but the mother? Because now the state legislature has gotten in there and say, okay, we're going to have this waiting period. It's like buying a handgun or something. We're going to have this waiting period. We want you to go get an ultrasound. We want you to see what that baby looks like and then make your decision. It seems a little cruel on the one hand. On the other hand, why are we even legislating this?
Well, we actually do, in somewhat of a disagreement. We do legislate certain things regarding regulations of procedures that you must follow, that doctors must follow. And the logic of this legislation is, first of all, it's a very physical operation, emotional, a lot of trauma, a very difficult decision for the woman in most cases, although in other cases it might be a couple. And the thought process is we've got to make sure before they go through this very traumatic operation, there should be counseling and the right to see what you're actually doing inside someone's body. By the way, the bill was written where you do not have to look at it. You're offered the chance to look at it. And I made sure I looked at the legislation where it says you don't have, it's not going to be slammed in your face.
But there were legislators that were pushing that.
Yeah, it does say you have to be offered the opportunity to look at it, but you can turn, you don't have to do that.
Right.
But it's basically saying a 24-hour waiting period before you go through such a traumatic type of thing, which as you talk to many people who have gone through it, it is something that stays with them for a lifetime, and it shouldn't be a decision made in an instant. And that's, before I had an operation recently on my knee, I looked at the x-ray.
Yeah, I know. Well,
but it's a fair debate on both sides, but I do think it was a common sense solution to go make sure these people have counseling.
It shouldn't be a political issue, and speaking of which, we're going to tackle some political topics in our final segment.